Never started yet.
You're kidding. Move, folks.
How's it going?
They got into all kinds of things.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. All of our council members here, and staff. We have a resolution moved by Councillor Bocek, seconded by Councillor Edwards, be it resolved that council recess from closed session at 2:18 p.m. without a report. All those in favor? Carried. I will report, we do have one more item to do, but we'll do it at the end of the day. So, where are we at here? CAO Report. We have a resolution here moved by Councillor Douglas, seconded by Councillor Bocek, be it resolved that council directs staff to approach Segbay Chamber of Commerce to determine if they are interested in taking over the organization of the Canada 150 Gala on June 30, 2017, and if Segbay is willing to organize the gala, that they be provided a grant of $3,879 for incidental expenses. And if Segbay is not willing to organize the gala, that it be canceled. Lori?
Your Worship, I guess when the idea of the gala came up, we had the economic development officer who was going to put it together, and we haven't talked about it yet, but Deb's not coming back as soon as we imagined, and with the other staffing shortages that we have currently, I just don't have the resources to do it. It would fall on me specifically, and A, not my area of expertise, and B, I have too many other things to do right now, so I would prefer not to be required to do this gala anymore. So we spent a small, the budget approved a $5,000 contribution to it. We spent some money towards the tent, which I'm assuming someone else wants to put it on and can use, so that money is spent. So the difference is what I definitely to get to say that if they're going to use it, which I'm not sure if they are or not. But I guess at the end of the day, I don't want to be in charge of putting on the gala.
Okay, so we'll open it up to council. Questions, comments? Councillor Bocek?
Is there any opportunity for another organization to pick up this funding if Segbay decides that it doesn't want it? I would think of like the Honey Harbor the co-op or someone of that vein. If so, then we could approach them and find out.
Your Worship, that's totally up to council. I guess my goal out of this is to be out of the gala business. What council wishes to do with the money in the gala is, as long as I'm out, yours to decide.
Okay, subsequent to that, I just think that if the Segbay doesn't wish to pick it up and we don't offer the opportunity to the Honey Harbor Co-op, I think they may have a thing or two to say about it. Maybe by approaching them, they'll say that they don't want to do it, but I think we should give them the opportunity.
Lori, is the co-op got the wherewithal for organizing the money, that sort of thing? That's where the chamber qualifies for doing that sort of thing, but I don't know about the co-op.
Through your Worship, I really have no knowledge of the co-op, so I couldn't speak to that. Certainly, the chamber has their own set of books, and we've worked with them on kind of events before where they've reported back, so I'm comfortable in their reporting capacity. I haven't worked with the co-op, and I don't know what their legal organization structure on, so I couldn't speak to that.
Paul?
I'm meeting with Lynn tomorrow, get the details, all of what she's done on this particular gala, budget for the gala, what has to be done, a list of activities have to be done in the budget to go with it, and present it to the chamber at the next meeting, which is the first Tuesday in April. and I'll be making a presentation to the chamber to see if you want to take it. So that's kind of the action I'm taking, to find out if the chamber wants to take it on. But we do have to find a coordinator for it, but that's what I'm doing.
Councillor Edwards?
What are you doing for McTier? Arena,
Yeah,
spot
McTier.
up there in
Yeah.
McTier. I mean, should we be approaching somebody up there?
They're already organized.
They'll let go.
It's all taken care of. Councillor Boccia?
It's just the final statement in the resolution is that if Segway does not wish to take it upon them, it's done, it's over.
Well,
I would like to see, I'm concerned about the residents of Honey Harbor, and Kathy Kay's not here to speak on their behalf, but there's a gala planned for the Port Severn Park in Port Severn, which is a fairly big event that's going to be going on the Canada Day weekend. And not to leave Honey Harbor out, instead of just saying, it's done, it's over. Let's use some of that money to supply transportation from Honey Harbor out to the park and back again on a regular basis, so people can come in and out, enjoy the beer tent, and not be drinking and driving going back to the harbor. So if we're going to quash the gala down there, let's use some of those funds to allow those people to come up to Port Severn.
Good idea.
It was my understanding that Honey Harbor and Port Severn were working together on this. Lori?
Maybe I should have said that better. So originally there was funds for separate events throughout the township, and then one unifying gala. So the 4 events were taken care of, 4 outside agencies. It happened that Port Severn and Honey Harbor were working together, I think. And then, so they already had their plans and had opportunity to get some of that funding, some of the funding outside of what we're talking about today. And then there was, as part of our strategic plan, we had working on a unifying event, and this was going to be the unifying event, so separate and distinct from what's happening in the individual communities.
Thanks for the clarity.
Councillor Cooper?
Just for clarification, because I was going to ask, with MacTier, they're having an event, and I guess you can answer this, Lori, if you don't mind. So we've already passed, and maybe I missed all this, and if I did, I'm sorry, but so we are giving $5,000 to MacTier and Honey Harbor and Port Severn and whom else?
The 4th group was the Bay Area. They haven't identified themselves as wanting to.
Yeah, because they said they would do it themselves and not cost anything. So this is an additional, so now we're up to 20, so potentially, plus another 4,000 or something like that, I see.
Councillor Rianco?
Just to clarify for House and Council Boccia, what I'm taking to the chamber is for them to be willing to do the financing for whoever coordinates it. So we may find somebody from the chamber to coordinate, or we may find somebody external to the chamber to coordinate it. But I think the funding has to go through the chamber because they have the proper processing. So I'm hoping to find an external coordinator outside the chamber, but we haven't found any. Well, we haven't even looked yet. But I think the chamber has to handle the finances. And I think that should be, hopefully, they'll agree to that.
I thought there was a Canada 150 committee that has like a dozen or so people on it.
Yes, it is, but that is for the Port Severn Honey Harbor, Port at the park, the Saturday afternoon and evening celebration. It's not for the gala. The gala was the township's total responsibility.
So just, I seen Peter's, Councilor Cooper's face just cringe when he heard this, and I understand where he's coming from. But I think it should be known that we have applied for grant dollars for the Canada 150 celebration, and I don't know where that stands right now. Perhaps our review isn't here, but
We didn't get anything here.
I think we're still, Lori, are we still looking for funding? Do we not have an application out for funding for this?
We have lots of applications for funding, but none of them are successful. So we're not waiting on it.
To date, or just
No, period.
period? Okay, so that's changed since the last time I talked. Okay.
Councillor Cooper?
I just, I know this is gonna sound like I'm a swell sport, but, I don't think we're in the business of parties and galas and bread and circuses. That's really what this is, and our job really is to look out for our tax ratepayers' contributions, and they should be associated with the services that we normally provide, not special parties. Sorry. And we did not qualify for any grants, so I think that's my opinion.
However, council did put money aside in the budget, in the approved budget for this. So. Lori, how do we stick in here the co-op in case Segbay is not interested? That they be asked if they qualify for the thing. The clock's ticking away here, so we don't need this coming back next month.
Maybe you just replace Segbay with other organizations. It doesn't have to be Segbay, maybe it can be any organization.
So Segbay Chamber of Commerce for another organization.
Maybe you don't even need Segbay, maybe it's just
Other
organizations to see if there's any interest.
And if there's no one is willing to organize it,
Right.
instead of saying like that.
Right.
So the mover and the seconder, you're the mover, you're the seconder, is that okay, is a friendly amendment? Okay. Okay, I better read it again. So moved by Councillor Douglas, seconded by Councillor Bocek, be it resolved that council directs staff to approach other organizations to determine if they are interested in taking over the organization of the Canada 150 Gala on June 30th, 2017. And if any of them choose to organize the gala, that they be provided a grant of $3,879 for incidental expenses, and if none of them are willing to organize the gala, that it be canceled. Lori?
I'm all good with that, if the staff be delegated to him, and I will talk about that later. I don't know the organization well enough to approach, but Councillor Wanko and Councillor Bocek, I know have a passion for this particular project, so I hope that they will find me an organizer.
Okay. So any other questions, comments? I'll question them. All those in favor? Any opposed? Two opposed? The motion carries. The next item is the 6 Mile Lake GFA, moved by Councillor Bocek, seconded by Councillor Douglas. Be it resolved that council directs staff to retain MHBC to work with the 6 Mile Lake Association and the 6 Mile Lake Ratepayers Alliance to find common ground on the issue of gross floor area in the 6 Mile Lake Community Plan and report back to council with any proposed changes to the official plan, the 6 Mile Lake portion of it, or zoning bylaw that might be required. Jamie, you the genesis of the CAO report, okay?
I can definitely use some help from James for sure, but as you know, last month, Director Popovich had brought some options for council to consider on how to move this particular matter forward. And council chose an outside survey. Nick was then unexpectedly absent, so that left me to pick up the pieces, which was fine, and he left me a great trail, and I was able to do that, but I wasn't probably as up to speed on it as he was. So what it turned out to be was the cost of the survey is quite expensive. So he had 2 quotes that I found in his documentation. One was $10,000, which was a pure mail-out survey. The second one was more electronic, although it still involved the mail piece, and it was $25,000. Between $10,000 and $25,000, which struck me as a fairly large amount, given that we probably paid $100,000 for our whole official plan. So it proportionally seems not the way to go in my purely accountant brain. Coincidentally, at the same time, Jamie arrived in my office because we were working, picking up some pieces of other things that Nick was doing, and he said, there's got to be a better way, and I think I know what it is. I'll let Jamie tell you what he thinks the better way is.
So what we'd identified was that there has been a lot of work done and a lot of consultation done in the past, not just on 6 Mile Lake, but as part of the official planning process and the zoning process to understand. And there was a significant amount of consultation that identified what GFA numbers should be or were appropriate for 6 Mile Lake. What we thought may be more appropriate was to get both parties in the room. We understand there's sort of 2 competing interests. Decide if there's any common ground and potentially develop a policy framework that and focus the effort on the policies that guide future applications to vary from those provisions of the bylaw, so that it provides council or, as the case may be, committee adjustment with more direction in terms of making their decisions. And then to also just ask the question whether those current values that are in the official plan and zoning bylaw are appropriate, if they need to change, and then subsequent to that, what criteria need to be included in the official plan to evaluate those changes. So that's what we thought might be a better use of money as opposed to doing a survey, because there's been surveys done in the past. They're pretty, based on reviewing those surveys that were done in 2011 and the comments from UOT and the comments from the zone bylaw, I think we have a pretty good idea of what those survey results would yield, and I'm not sure it would be the best use of township funds and everybody's time as well. So that's what generated this most recent report.
Lori?
So I did have a conversation with both associations about different, and said if they had any comments, they should let me know and let council know before Monday. So I had the name of the association wrong, the 6 Mile Lake Cottage Association. That's why I had it incorrect. They still want the survey. The 6 Mile Lake Ratepayers Alliance, if I got that right. I don't think it was wasn't as specific about whether they wanted a survey or not, but if we were going to have a survey, they wanted it to be third party and not done by the township. Those were the 2 positions put forward by the team when I asked them. So they're both aware the council is debating the issue today. They were provided the report in advance and allowed to provide feedback.
So the third-party survey was estimated somewhere between $10,000 and $25,000.
Right. I think the other issue was just the time frame. I'm not getting an understanding from council last month that you wanted to move forward on this project fairly quickly, and a survey required 3 or 4 months just in the mail-out process. And even I spent the weekend Googling Survey Monkey and how to use it, because one association told me they used it and they were able to nail it down to unique identifiers. So I'm sure if they figured it out, we could figure it out. I don't know how right now, but I'm sure we could. But it still seemed to involve a mail component because it only works if you have everyone's email address, which we do not. So I would still, even if I could do it unique identifier, I'd have to maybe do a mail out within the area that we selected and give you your unique identifier so that you can fill it. But even then, you know, that's, to mail it out, that's a few weeks process to make sure that everybody gets time and stuff. So depends on how fast you want to go and how much you want to spend, what approach you might want to go forward with.
Okay, Councillor Edwards?
When I read this the other day, I said to myself, we're missing a step here. We were told by the Ratepayers Association that they couldn't release their membership. So I thought about that and I said, okay, if we go along and give these people credibility on the basis that they can't release who and how many they represent, are we setting a bad precedent? Because anybody else will come and say, well, I've got the XYZ association, but our bylaws don't let us release who we've got. So we need to find out whether we're dealing with 20 people or 200. The 6 Mile Lake, my understanding, falls at somewhere around 500 or 600 people. 550. So I think before we go any further in this, in investing anybody's time, whether it's staff or MHPC, we need to be verified that we've got a significant number of people that are on the other side here. Because otherwise, if we accept this, how do we stop somebody else who says, oh, my bylaws don't let you see it? So that's my question.
Councillor Wojcik?
Yeah, to be fair to both parties, I mean, a municipal study is quite a bit different than a private survey monkey study, because the results are going to come into question, and you're not going to bring executives from Survey Monkey in to address those and answer those questions. And the legal liabilities involved in this survey are such that it can't be just a simple computer, internet, social media study. It needs to be done properly, hence the cost associated with it. In saying that, I believe that our acting planner has come up with a suitable solution where we get both parties together, hash it out, see if there's some common ground, and then move forward from there. I think until we establish that there is the availability of communication and there's something at the end of the rainbow, we can't move forward. We have to have a premise to move forward with. And I think the suggestion by Mr. Robertson is a good one, and I think it works.
Councillor Cooper?
You know, I think both points that my fellow councillors have raised are certainly relevant, and, you know, I think an attempt to get some common ground is all well and fine. But in terms of the township expending a lot more money to get resolution in terms of surveys and consultants, is also setting a different precedent, which is other communities have come to us and they've already spent money on consultants to do their work, and they spent it themselves. And I think if we spoon feed one community, we should fairly spoon feed others. And so I'm not comfortable with spending a whole lot of money or time. This community should come to us with a solution. Thank you.
Councillor Bianco?
Just to clarify, and I think Jamie did bring it up, prior to the passage of 2475, the 6 Mile Lake Association did do a survey in 2011, Jamie, you said, yeah, on a number of issues to find out if the membership wanted any changes to the official plan. And one of the questions was, are you still satisfied with 275? And the majority came back saying yes, they're satisfied with 275. So as of 2011, they were satisfied with that number. The other fact is that when the 6 Mile Lake Association, Party Association, made an application to have some changes to the official plan, which we eventually backed out of, that was not to change the 275. It was to clarify the wording around the 275. So the 6 Mile Lake Party Association has never asked for a change to the 275. That request came from the Alliance group, only. And so here we are, and getting back to Pat's point of view, we just don't know how many people this group represents. Is it a handful? Is it quite a few? Is it the majority of the lake? So I don't know how we make a judgment. How much money do we spend on an unknown group? And so I think we've got to be cautious that if a survey has to be done, I think the two groups should pay for the survey. If they really want a survey. I can see them sitting down with Jamie next, I think it was tomorrow, isn't it? And talking about where they, what the positions are. I don't know if you find common ground in one day. I don't think you find common ground probably the next month. If you do, great, bring it back. But if they don't, I think Jamie has to bring back the positions of the two groups. And then we make a decision as to what position the council will accept. And again, it's based on, you know, trying to make the majority of 6 Mile Lake happy. So, yeah, well, let them talk some more, bring back something in April, and then we can decide what position we want, and maybe we can find out, maybe Jamie can ask them, do they want to spend the $10,000 or $25,000 or whatever to do a survey, and let them pay for it. And that way, they're not spending taxpayers' money on the request of a small group of people.
Councilor Douglas?
Thank you, Chair. I can only say that I totally agree with what Councilor Cooper and Councilor Wanko are saying. I don't see where the community plan is the responsibility of the township taxpayers to make decisions for them. It seems to me that it was a small group, which or maybe not be a small group, but they're not disclosing the numbers. They're making this request, and I really think the onus falls on them. I think for us to provide a day of consultation with Jamie would be great, but I really don't think it's up to our township to pay to resolve a community issue.
Councilor Bocek?
Back to Councilor Wanko, just so that I have a good understanding of this. My understanding was almost opposite to your understanding, and I'd like to get some clarity from you if I could. Originally, I thought that it was brought up by members or the directors of the 6 Mile Lake Cottagers Association that the wording in the official plan was ambiguous, and where it said 270 square meters, I believe the word was should be 200, and they wanted the wording to be changed to must be, or there was a small ambiguity in the wording, and they wanted it indefinite instead of open-ended. And in response to that, a ratepayers association rallied and got together because they didn't appreciate that amendment going into the official plan. Where I tend to differ on all of this is my understanding was the official plan was a public process. It went through due diligence. There was meetings at the community center where the public was invited to formulate the official plan, and in that official plan was the community plan. And if there was to be any amendments or any changes that should have taken place at that time, we do go back every 5 years and have a look at the official plan. And if there's need for an amendment, then the amendment can be made at that 5-year period. It's not going to get reopened and changed, but there could be an amendment made. So my feeling on this whole thing is a lot of hoopla about a lot of getting this all done today and everything else, where we're already, we're 2 years into the official plan here, so 3 years from now, there can be an amendment made to this community plan, and it can be done the proper way through the right channels. So what I'm saying is I'm agreeing with Councilor Douglas and Councilor Cooper that to go out and spend $20,000 of taxpayers' money that has nothing to do with the 6 Mile Lake community seems a bit absurd.
I've got Councilor Edwards.
I'm just going to say, just to Brian, to point out that the previous OP was 20 years to get amended. They're supposed to be every 5 years. If we do it after 5 years, that will be a significant improvement over the previous 20 years. And I would point out that Paul and 10 or so people worked very diligently on the planning committee to come up with so much of this. So, you know, to say now that, oh, it doesn't work for some people, I have a real problem. I mean, I would say, really, you got to demonstrate, and the ones who have to demonstrate are the new groups. that this is clearly the will of the majority, and somebody made the comment, and I've always viewed government as you try to keep most of the people happy most of the time. That's the best you can do.
Jamie?
Just like to make a point of clarification, not to take business away, but when Bill 73 was enacted by the province last year, it changed the review period for an OP from 5 years to 10 years.
Saving money.
So legislatively, if you have a brand new official plan, you can go 10 years before you update it, but then once you've done an update, you have to go every 5 years after that, is how it works now. But council by all means can do it every 5 years if they want.
Every year.
It probably costs less than 20 grand.
Councilor Rankin, you had your hand up?
Well, just to clarify, the wording was in general, you shall. And that was the two words that I think even Jimmy has a problem with. That's what we're trying to clarify. And I was hoping that during the negotiations that are going on, the original request from 6 Mile Lake, that Cottage Association would be reviewed at that time. So maybe that's something that they can do under these negotiations. But I think one of the options has to be that Jamie brings back is a do-nothing option and wait for 2 years when we can, the whole community gets involved in reviewing all the Cottage Association community plans and so on. So, you know, that's one of the options that we have to consider. That's a do-nothing option, but put it off another 2 or 3 years, and we can do, you know, we can do the proper work and have the community involved. But again, I think, you know, you got a good point that you're taking $25,000 of taxpayers' money and putting it into a very specific 6 Mile Lake issue. I think the community, the taxpayers should be concerned about that. So this is why I think if the 6 Mile Lake Association and Alliance Group want to do the survey, I think they should be paying for it themselves.
We're going round and round.
I was just gonna say it's 8 years, you don't have to do it in 2 more years. From what I heard from Jamie, we can wait until the 10-year mark, correct?
Isn't it 10 years from when it finally passes, all of it?
Yeah, we need an option there.
Still have an OMB, couple of them. Councillor Douglas.
I would also like to see in this resolution, if we could, that we only allow Jamie 1 day of meetings and not have this as an ongoing
Maybe less than 1 month.
meeting.
No, but having report back in 1 month. If you
No,
need,
no,
if you need 2 or 3 days to talk about it.
No.
I don't agree with her. Honestly, I think have a meeting with them and,
What's your hourly rate?
Jamie, what are you estimating
yeah.
What's your
time we
hourly
should spend on this?
What my I envision for the process is that if we met, we'd have a good idea about where both sides are coming from, and then after that meeting, I can prepare a report back to council on the options to consider. What I had envisioned is what I spoke about at the beginning is that you do have a number in your official plan, there's some flexibility built in, and there's the 6 Mile Lake Cottage Association is concerned with the flexibility of that number in the official plan. And what I envision is maybe there needs to be some criteria in the official plan included to evaluate specific instances when variances from that number are appropriate or aren't appropriate. Those are the sorts of things that I think might come out of that discussion. Maybe not changes to the number, but how you evaluate modifications. And I do think there's value added to that, not just to the folks of 6 Mile Lake, but to council as a whole, because it will hopefully streamline an application review in the future and provide residents with greater certainty before they submit an application on what can be considered. So I think there is benefit at the end of the day to everyone.
I would agree with that. I'm just stating that instead of having 3 or 4 meetings with 6 Mile, one, try and formulate from that.
Yeah, that would be.
That would be my.
Councillor Wojcik?
I would also be in favor during this negotiation process to keep the interim control bylaw in place, not as a threat to hurry up and get things done, but simply we don't have any resolve to the initial problem that started all this. And until we have that, I think the interim control bylaw should stay in place. Hopefully your mediation and your conversations do create some urgency in solving this, and then the control bylaw can be lifted. Any idea of the amount of time it would take to, after you've got some sort of consensus of where you're going with this with the 2 groups, once it comes back to council, can the control law be removed at that particular time?
Through you, we have to, so the purpose of an interim control bylaw, as you know, is to put a freeze while studies are undertaken to determine, and this in fact is the study process that we would be undertaking. If this study process decides that no changes are necessary, then the interim control bylaw can be lifted at that time. If it decides that there's changes that need to be made to either the official plan or the zoning bylaw, then it should probably stay in place until those changes are dealt with. And that would be staff report to council, public meeting, official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, and then, so that's generally the process that I would.
Sure. Supplement to my question is, that is the answer I was expecting to hear, which if there is something ratified, it could be quite a while after the building season starts that this interim control bylaw gets removed. Because we're talking about a process where if there's going to be a change or amendment to the official plan, you have a procedure to follow, which entails public meetings and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We could be well into July and August. If it happened today, tomorrow, there was something put on the board, still could be quite a long time before that bylaw comes off, correct?
Yeah, through your worship. That's correct, but that doesn't take away the as-of-right permissions that are included in the zoning bylaw right now. Some can develop based on the as-of-right permission. The interim control bylaw only applies if someone's trying to vary those provisions in any way.
The 275, one provision.
Oh yeah, it's just the gross floor area provision, not the other requirements. Provided someone's building in accordance with the zoning bylaw, or they're varying another provision other than that gross floor area, then we can proceed.
But again, subsequent to that, if we do come up, or if you do have a solution come up out of the mediation process, can you give me an estimate of time, if you're going to move forward with an amendment to the OP bylaw, how long would it be before that control is removed?
I would say a minimum of 3 months. By the time you prepare a staff report, do a public meeting, and come back again. 2 months if you're really lucky, but I would say I wouldn't want to tell.
I don't think we have that many waiting in the queue.
And if somebody files beyond me, see, that's your problem.
You done?
Thank you.
Councilor Cooper?
Yeah, so you really answered the question I was gonna ask about interim control bylaw is really just saying status quo. And so people can apply for all sorts of things that are within the bylaw. And it's really just to stop going outside, which we've been, and those things anyway end up at the OMP usually, so this isn't such a bad thing until we get clarity. And so anyway, that was my comment. I think it makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
The only thing it does is restrict someone's ability under section 34 and section 45 to apply for some amendment or a variance. That's all. Doesn't change the bylaw anyway.
Right.
Anything else? Well, I don't think we've changed anything here. Anybody need a reread of the resolution?
Yeah, we're going to, I'm not sure what.
So, moved by Councillor Bocek, seconded by Councillor Douglas, be it resolved that council direct staff to retain MHBC to work with the 6 Mile Lake Association and the 6 Mile Lake Ratepayers Alliance to find common ground on the issue of gross floor area in the 6 Mile Lake Community Plan and report back to council with any proposed changes to the official plan or zoning bylaw that might be required. Councilor Edwards?
I think we need to put a dollar amount or a time amount on it, because otherwise it's open-ended.
One meeting, we said one meeting.
Okay, one meeting.
Basically directed one meeting.
Okay.
All we'd be doing is basically performing the same function that Nate would be performing if he was here. We're not looking to go beyond that.
Councilor Bianco?
Can you add the word 6 Mile Lake Cottage Association?
Okay. So after lake. Done. Okay, so I'll call the vote. All those in favor?